this meeting to order at 6:31 and ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First, we have adjustments to the agenda.
For the board's business, we're recommending making the following adjustments to item J, new business, which would be to add item 3, which is acknowledge and acceptance of policy committee review, and renumber current items 3 through 6 to be items 4 through 7. And item 5, remove executive session for an expulsion hearing and replace with discussion consideration of superintendent of schools contract.
Your motion?
I make a motion to make the following adjustments to J, new business, as recommended by the superintendent.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Approval of minutes. We have the minutes from the December 14th, 2017 meeting.
I make excuse me, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the December 14th, 2017 board meeting as presented.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Communications and correspondence.
Although there was none in your packet, there was one electronic communication that was received earlier today that I forwarded to you, but I believe you also received from parents Todd and Karen Merrill. My recommendation is that you allow me to gather additional information with regard to the communication and can either refer it to discussion at next 2 weeks from now's board workshop, at which time you may want to refer to the policy committee for discussion.
Okay, thank you. And item F, public participation. So then we'll move on to item G, administrator board reports, beginning with Mr. Clifford.
Good evening. You have my report. So Student of the Month for October for the EHS regular Student of the Month, Mariah Young, and she's a senior going to a 4-year college next year. I don't know if any of you know Mariah. Terrific kid, really hard worker, adds a lot to our school, and it's been a great 4 years having her. VPA October Student of the Month is Kirsten Cox. Very talented girl. Maybe some of you have seen her work or have bought her work, but it's for sale now at private shops and things like that, and directly from her. And terrific artist. EHS for November is Student of the Month was Renee Willette, and Renee is one of 3 triplets, and she is in the life skills room, and a terrific girl. She walks around school and does a lot of different things, but comes into the office at least twice a day and cheers everybody up and makes everybody happy, and really just a terrific girl. And she's starting basketball soon, which she's really excited about. And then the last BPA for November was Richie Matthews. Again, another really talented artist. A really talented musician. And he made All-State, one of 4. This year he was chosen about a month ago. And that's coming up later on at University of Maine. And so we're really glad and proud that he's a part of that. Only 4 in the state for tuba. So that's a great accomplishment. As far as activities this week, girls are playing MDI tonight. Boys are playing MDI tomorrow. Swim meet tonight, swim meet on Friday. Thursday we have an empty bowl supper, and that's at the EHS cafeteria, and that's from 5 to 7. And if you haven't been to one of those, so you go in and they're bowls that our students made in ceramics, and you can choose a bowl, and there's all kinds of food there, and fill it up. You get to keep the bowl, and donations and things like that. So it's a fun night. It's a real fun night, and there's artwork around that you can look at and things like that.
And the proceeds for that go to?
Well, right now, they're looking at a trip. Right now, that's what they'll go towards.
Mhm.
Yep. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Newitt from Ellsworth Middle School.
Thank you. In school news, this week we begin our mid-year iReady testing. All students will be tested in reading and math for the second time. We'll get to see growth from fall to this time of the year and make any adjustments in students' programming based on that data. First trimester honor roll lists were posted today for students to see. I haven't posted them for the parents, but we had 168 kids out of about 350 that made one of the two honor rolls, either high honors or honors. And honors, you had to have a 3.5 GPA, and high honors a 3.75 GPA. And for your PE, art, health, and music, you had to have at least a 3 rating in each of those subjects to make honor roll. So very pleased with that. It's our first time ever with standards-based grading to do that. So it was a good showing. And we're going to have our school finals next Tuesday of the Scripps Spelling Bee. This is the National Spelling Bee that you'll eventually see on ESPN. And, we take our part in that, and our kids go from the school level to the county level, and the winner of that goes to the state and then on to the national competition. So we'll see how we do. In co-curricular news, I really wanted to emphasize the number of kids that we have in activities. So everything you see there is that non-sports. Robotics Club is going to start on the 22nd of this month with Mr. Ford as the coach. That'll involve 24 students. I don't have numbers for Art Club, but we have Art Club spread out throughout the year, and 5th grade just wrapped up. Actually, they'll wrap up next week for grade 5. Chess Club has 36 participants. We had a meet yesterday with Deer Isle and Bucksport, so we packed the cafeteria with kids playing chess yesterday. Show choir is started. They have 16 students preparing the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And jazz band is getting ready for their festivals with 18 kids. So that's very close. You throw the art club kids in there, you got over 100 kids doing activities. You're at about another 70 or so doing winter sports. And you have a good half of your school involved in some sort of after-school activities, which I think is great. And in parent news, just so you know, your daughter may be asking the parent to buy a dress for the semi-formal snowflake dance that comes up on Saturday, January 20th. They probably already have the dress. But it's kind of a nice event that we've done now for 2 years. This will be our 3rd year. And it's a Saturday night kind of deal, and we dress up the cafeteria, and the kids, both from Ellsworth and out of town, come to that. So it's a good time. And I have a really nice group of 8th grade parents that are raising money for our 8th grade trip that you haven't yet approved to Kenobi Lake Park in New Hampshire, which is where we went last year and had a very good time. We're at $7,200 raised, still have a few $1,000s left to go. But we've done activity nights. We help feed the staff at the workshop days in the fall, and done things like that. So I appreciate what those parents do to put in to make that work. And I met with 8th grade reps today. We're planning flowergrams for Valentine's Day, so that'll be fun. That's all I got. Any
Jim,
questions?
Do you know approximately what percentage of students who earned honors recognition, how that compares with the percentage under the previous grading system?
I can tell you, because I have the numbers, because not that I thought you would ask, but since you did, there were 168 kids made it. I don't know if
Yeah.
I said that earlier or not.
Yeah.
I did, okay. So there were far more last year. Last year, we were on the 0 to 100 scale.
Yeah.
You had to have an 85 or better. And, you could redo, and we still have this policy, you had to redo last year until you got at least a 77 on a test. Well, this year, you have to redo until you get a 3. Well, the 3 is at a higher level.
Mhm.
So it's harder to get that, and we make it even harder because we don't want just a 3, which is just met the standard, which is good, but we made it at a 3.5, so you don't have to just meet them. You really got to be almost into the exceeding range.
Mhm.
And, you know, so that's why the numbers of honor roll kids has shrunk.
Mhm.
I'm okay with that, because, you know, there's somebody said, you know, that every kid gets a trophy mentality.
Mhm.
You know, I don't really want that. I don't think the world really wants that. So you want to be on honor roll, you're gonna have to earn it.
Mhm.
And that's a very high standard. I apologize for that. It's my lovely wife. She should know I'm at a board meeting. Sorry, honey. But anyway, so anyway, there's
Yeah.
far fewer kids this time around, but still, I think a sizable number that shows that it's reachable.
Yeah, well, good, I appreciate that, thank you.
Jim, do the habits of work scores play into honor roll at all?
Not one bit.
Okay.
The only thing they play on is this reward trip, which has been postponed twice. We were supposed to go to Criterion Theater in Bar Harbor last Friday. We had a snow day, and today we were supposed to go. You wouldn't have seen me today. Tim would have been doing this for me, but they had no heat and no water in the theater. So Star Wars will be long gone, and we will pick another day and another movie to go down and check it out. And so it does not play a role. It only plays a role in letting parents know what their child's work habits are like, and the kid knows how the work habits are like. And the kids that do 3 or better for their work habits earn this trip. So it's a little incentive for the kids to do it. We had 210 kids out of roughly 350 eligible for the trip. Not all of them elected to go to the movie, but you know, better, you know, about 2/3 or so are, you know, doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
I'm getting out of here.
All right,
Thank you.
Mr. McCluskey.
Good evening. I wanted to welcome, we had last month hired 2 new staff members. Tracy Thurston, second grade teacher, is on a 3-month sabbatical. I don't know if that's the correct term for it, but she's away for the next 3 months with an approved leave. So we hired a young lady, just graduated from Husson College, Stephanie Siebert, and she'll be running Mrs. Thurston's second grade classroom from now through the end of March. And Mrs. Thurston will be back beginning of April. Second person, we hired Katrina Westcott as a full-time ed tech in our life skills classroom, filling a vacancy that we had there come up this past fall. So we welcome them. Excuse me. A little bit later this evening, we have a momentum presentation. That's a word you've heard me use several times in the last several board meetings here this fall. And we have 4 teachers here from our K through 3 grades ready to present to you what they've been working on for a year ago. This past month, we started the piloting project. So I'll be looking forward to introducing them to you here in a few minutes. Our assessment window has opened, as Mr. Newitt reported. Our iReady and NWEA windows are open, and our teachers have started those assessments. Last month, we sent our 4th and 5th grade students, I had mentioned that to you in December, to the Grand for It's a Wonderful Life, a live radio version. That was on the 15th of December. Nicole Cardano, the Grand's educational outreach educator, came in and worked with all of the classrooms in those grade levels prior to the children going. So she was working on some improvisational type of things, and was able to make some nice connections with our curriculum with the students on that. And I think it really did a lot of, I think the pre-work that she did a lot of, was very beneficial, as helping the children enjoy the production even further. And we're really pleased with our connection with Nick Turner and the Grand and how that's going for our students. It's just a great experience for them, while also being able to enhance the curriculum, which I'm very pleased about. Enrollment update, as you can see on the attachment of my report, we're up 5 students since last month. I'm keeping a close eye on our kindergarten levels. We're really kind of busting at the seams at our kindergarten We're almost at, we're at 19 across the board there. That's a lot of 5-year-olds for teachers to handle, but they're doing a fantastic job. I'm really pleased with the work that our K teachers are doing with these young kids, and been very beneficial having some of the supports that we have in the classrooms to give them a hand. Progress reports went out for the first time, the end of the first trimester, Monday on the 18th of December. We had a great staff meeting last week at the elementary side, talking about feedback that they have been receiving from parents since they went out, and we were able to kind of break some things down on our next steps that we want to take to make the communication with those progress reports at the next trimester reporting period even better for parents to understand. I had asked teachers to talk in small groups about some of the questions they had received or any concerns that they had received from parents, and we were able to kind of process those, and then we've made some plans on how we can use the comment excuse me to use the comment section under those progress reports, but even wiser for the next reporting period, specifically in reporting out reading levels for parents to understand, because if you're new to if you're new to proficiency-based grading, and if you're new to having your child's reading level reported to you, it's numbers and letters. It's not like an 85 or a 90 in the 0 to 100 scale, but it's, as you know, progress proficiency-based. It's 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then our teachers are explaining to parents the way we measure reading at the elementary level is through the Fonneson-Pinnell scores, which is a letter. And so it might be very confusing to a parent to say, well, all right, Timmy got a 3 in literacy, and the teacher is explaining that in Fonneson-Pinnell he's at a letter O. It's kind of like, what do these symbols mean? So teachers are starting to work on how to explain what those letters and numbers mean on an end-of-year scale basis. So I think we've got some good work going on there, and making them even better for the next 2 progress reports that will go out for this year. In parent news, January 2nd, I wasn't invited on the 2nd. I had plenty of leeway time, but Ellsworth Rotary invited me to come in to their meeting on January 2nd to do a volunteer training. So I gladly accepted that invitation, and I had a room of about 25 or 30 people, of Rotarians there. They're very gracious and very interested in hearing what we do at the school department level in regards to volunteers and how we train them. So I used the opportunity to train everybody in the room, and those that wish to fill out an application did so, and Clyde Cushing, one of our ed techs, is a Rotarian, and he was our school connection, so he's going to give me back whoever wished to actually fill out an application. But you got the training whether you wanted to fill out the application or not that evening. But it went very, very well. They were very accommodating, very interested, asked good questions, and appeared to be quite appreciative of what we're doing at the school department in having volunteers come into our classrooms. I want to thank the PTF for the efforts that they put in last month. They put in a great deal of time to make the holiday season special for the students of the elementary and middle school. They did a holiday gift giving day. It's either the 2nd or 3rd year we've done that, and they had a lot of donations from businesses and from parents, donating items where children could come down for 10 minutes on the 21st of December. We had a schedule set up, and children could come down and pick out one item on a table that they could bring back and give to a family member of their choosing, parent, grandparent, brother, sister. So that was a very nice thing that the PTF did for the students of the community, and you could see on their faces how happy they were, and so I just want to thank them for all the efforts that they put in, because there was a lot of organization to make that go off and make it go very well, which it did. We had our PTF meeting for the month this evening, as we usually do on school board nights. And we got some nice things planned coming up with another movie night. We're talking about doing a family dance either this year or next year in the spring. And our next PTF meeting will be Tuesday, February 13th at 3 o'clock in the library. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mrs. Bowles.
Good evening. For part of my report, kids were very excited to come back from the holiday break and have about 98% of their biomedical science lab complete. Over the holidays, we received the rest of our countertops and lab equipment. Came in, and thanks to Russ Coffin and the workers of E.L. Shea, our lab is now fully installed. The last couple of things that have to be done with plumbing will be done over February break, but kids are doing labs in the biomedical lab now, and it's beautiful. In addition to that, we were able to purchase with Perkins money new state-of-the-art interactive HD projectors and new whiteboards for that space, as well as diesel. And what it's allowed in the diesel program is, if you recall, about a year ago, we bought new CDX online curriculum for diesel, because with the construction of our school, we simply don't have the space for a lot of the heavy equipment that most diesel programs have. So now with this projector and whiteboard, they can do a lot of the online virtual reality stuff with the engines through that. So even though they might not have everything they need to tinker with the actual equipment, they at least can see things in 3D and stuff on that. So it's pretty cool. The kids think it's quite awesome. So we're very excited about both of those things. It's time for us to also honor our next student of the month through the Rotary Club, who does that. And for November, we're honoring a diesel student, a junior from MDI, Michaela Gray. She does a great job in our diesel program, is a leader, and is one of our several females in the diesel program this year. And then we're honoring for the month of December Emmett Smith, a senior from Ellsworth High School, who is a rock star in our biomedical program. So each of those students will be honored next Tuesday night at the Rotary dinner. And someone from the community always comes from that field and speaks to the student for about 5 to 8 minutes about what that field is looking for from young people in today's economic society, which is really nice. For us, we are really busy preparing for our accreditation visit. We have 12 visiting accreditation committee members will be coming in on Sunday night of January 21st, and we'll be staying the week doing our accreditation visit. We have the director from Presque Isle all the way down to a teacher from Southern Maine. So 12 different accreditation members from around the state will be coming in and grading every single one of our programs and giving us positive and negative feedback for how to make us better, as well as some school-wide different indicators that they'll look at as well. And we'll get that report probably sometime in February or March, and we'll give you highlights of that when we receive it. Our second annual joint breakfast is taking place this Thursday. That is something we started last year with all of the Hancock County superintendents, HCTC school board reps, all the Hancock County curriculum coordinators, sending high school principals, and sending high school guidance counselors all come together Thursday morning, and I do a State of the Schools presentation about changes HCTC has made over the last year so that everybody's on the same page for the recruiting season coming up for the following year, so that when students are asking questions at all different levels, everyone knows what's going on and is on the same page about changes that have been made at HCTC. So we're excited for that on Thursday. We'll also be able to give a tour of the building, as most people have not seen the construction that was done this summer or see the new biomedical lab, so that's exciting. Finally, we were very excited that once again the state of Maine decided to put money aside for a CTE equipment grant. And because of our increase in enrollment, we received more money this year than we have prior. We received $36,636, which was for equipment upgrades. We had to demonstrate which industry standards were not being met due to lack of equipment, or equipment that needed upgrades to better help students meet industry standards in our programs. And because of this grant, we're able to make equipment upgrades in automotive, media, culinary arts, biomedical, and our health occupations program. So staff was over the moon about that. And those are funds that Ellsworth will receive in the next couple of weeks, and equipment that will be purchased immediately.
Nice.
So we're very excited about that. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we'll hear from Ann Sargent.
So it's always a pleasure to be here. I love the work that I'm able to do, thanks to all of you. Our course catalog came out between Christmas and New Year's. I hope everybody received it. It looks like this. And always have to give a shout out to Marilyn Starling, who does all the formatting and entry for the catalog. I organize most of all of the courses, but she really does a beautiful job of displaying them. So shout out to her. We are excited about the variety of courses offered. We always try to have a balance between the ongoing popular classes and then sort of test the waters for different kinds of classes. So we're pretty excited about those. This week, we have yoga classes starting and mindful eating classes. So that's just the beginning of the ways to deal with your New Year's resolutions. There's all kinds of opportunities for learning. One of the things that we always like to remind people about is that you have to register for classes 5 days in advance. And if you're anything like me, a little bit last minute, a lot of people can be disappointed because we have to cancel classes. You might not get a spot if it's full, or we may have to cancel a class. It has happened many times where we have to cancel classes because we have to do it in advance so we can let everybody know. And then by the day of the class, we have enough people to run it. So, but we have to be able to reach everybody to cancel it. So we want to remind people to do that. I brought this up last month, I believe, but we're forging new connections with both the Grand, the Ellsworth Public Library, and Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. And we're really excited about all of those. We're also, we weren't quite ready to jump in with both feet, but the University Cooperative Extension is expanding their Master Gardener program, and we're looking forward to helping them offer those classes not only to the Master Gardeners but to the public. So that's an exciting development. And if any other organization if anybody knows of other organizations, I think one of the important roles that an adult ed program can play in a community is to strengthen organizations and work together to be both cost effective and to promote economic development in their community. So let us know. We're always eager to do that. We're finding that Facebook is a really great way to promote our programs. It seems like a lot of our demographic is on them. I think our younger set has moved beyond Facebook, but the people that are taking our classes are on Facebook, and so we're really trying to promote people liking our page so that they can be, and sharing that with people so that we can promote our program. So if you can help out with that, that would be great. We have a new face at Ellsworth Adult Ed. Marilyn Plowman started actually just after our last meeting. So we're excited to have her. She's got a broad-based experience with education, and she'll be the face of Adult Ed in the evening in our community. So we welcome her aboard. And then our high set, we're starting to get a lot of people with their New Year's resolutions. I had a great conversation today with a student who was like, I'm so glad I came in here. I just needed to do something, and I needed a New Year's resolution, I think. And so this is a great time for people who are thinking about making a change, continuing their education, to come in, either for the high school equivalency test or to prepare for that, or the high school diploma. It's a perfect time for that. We have a CNA program that's starting the end of February, and so this is people always, you can't wait to the last minute for that program either, so this is a good time to be pursuing that. And our office skills program will start in March. So a lot of people aren't aware of the fact that I do career advising, and a lot of people are starting to take advantage of that and seem to be appreciating that. And you just come in and meet with me, and we talk about, you know, what some of your goals might be, or so I'm just putting that out there to let people know that that's a free service that we offer. And lastly, we provide a lot of college preparation, and so we're offering this semester algebra and algebra and biology prerequisite classes, as well as, we call them college ready boot camps, as well as English classes and math classes to prepare for college. So, and this really is what this sort of, I sort of feel like when we put this out, this is all we need to do for a report. So I hope you've had a chance to look through that. Any questions?
Ann, would you just give the actual name of your Facebook page so the audience can?
Yeah, thank you for saying that. It's
Find it.
Ellsworth Adult Education. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. And it would be great to, it seems to be a great way to spread the word. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we have the curriculum coordinators report. Mrs. Corman Ramos.
Good evening. Nice to see you all. We have lots of things happening right now. In our CIA team, our Curriculum Instruction and Assessment team, over the last 2 months, we've been talking about ways to build capacity in the school district by highlighting the teachers in our school district, their talents, and having them share good instructional practice with each other. So the teacher's proposal within our team was for a new professional development initiative in the school department, which will include 2 days per week of kind of mini workshops. They'll be presented by teachers in Ellsworth for teachers in Ellsworth and ed techs as well. Teachers and ed techs will be able to present a strategy or instructional practice that has proven to be particularly effective in their work in the classroom. So each presenting teacher or ed tech will be paid for their time, and then each attending teacher will receive contact hours towards recertification. With the new initiative, we hope that we'll be able to offer a lot of different kinds of opportunities for local professional development that really reflects the needs of our students, because we'll be learning from teachers who have worked with our students. And sometimes the teachers that we're learning from are people who have had our students or may have them in the future. So our ultimate goal here will be to increase student achievement, but also to improve collegiality and also make each other aware of all the good things that are happening in the school district. Along those lines and supporting those very same goals, Debbie Richards, our Title 1A and 2A instructional coach, has been working with teachers during their common planning times, their professional learning time, and after school to support their work in strong instructional practice. She has just currently started offering teachers an opportunity to become part of a formal coaching cycle that would last about 6 weeks, as well as what she's been doing now is more informal planning support when teachers are interested. The formal cycle is based on research that shows that participating in formal coaching cycles has a greater impact on student achievement. During that time, what she would be doing is she would be working with teachers to look at student work and the student data and plan lessons that will meet the students' needs based on what they need particularly. They may also consider inviting her to model strategies in the classroom, and also they can choose instructional focus with her and investigate resources, find ways of teaching the standards that they're working on. So it's really a collaboratory model, and kind of getting some of her expertise and having her share and help them find the resources they need. She's going to begin these formal cycles in the schools on January 15th, and they'll be ongoing as teachers request to participate. Currently, she has, I think, 4 teachers that she'll be working with formally, and she's meeting with teams regularly during the week at their common planning times for other kinds of coaching. So it's going very well. Something new is that beginning in February, a representative group of ELA teachers and administrators will begin to meet to discuss the scope and sequence of the reading curriculum in the Ellsworth schools. Over the past 3 years, with the development of the Ellsworth assessed standards and benchmarks at the 2nd, 5th, 8th, and 12th grade levels, teachers and administrators from all levels have shared their observations of their students' abilities on important focus skills and of the possible gaps that they're seeing in the student retention of these skills. Our teachers are doing an amazing job teaching, but there are things that the kids are not holding on to that may have to do with gaps in resources, may have to do with gaps in the way we had standards before we were able to align them. So last year, as you know, we focused in a detailed way on math. And this year, as we look at our student data and we work with our literacy consultant, Candace Bray, in both regular and special ed, we know that a review of explicit phonics instruction in the early grades and vocabulary and comprehension strategies in the upper grades are our priorities. We also plan to incorporate into this discussion our capability to sustain certain pieces of the momentum pilot that will end this summer, which you will hear more about in a few minutes. In order to really facilitate a vertically aligned program, teachers from all 4 schools, K-12, will send a representative to participate in the review of the instruction. The end goal of this work will be to provide recommendations for changes to the assessed standards, if necessary, and supportive research-based protocols and resources to best help our students become confident and productive readers. That's our main goals. We want kids to be able to leave here being able to do all the things they want to do with their lives. We will plan to conduct a similar review of writing in the 2018 and 19 year. So we'll be taking reading on this year and work towards writing once we have that aligned. In assessment and reporting, as you've heard from the other principals, we will be, we're going to be completing our diagnostic winter assessments. In grades K through 3, they will be taking the NWEA assessment in reading, which is aligned with the Momentum Pilot, and the iReady assessment in math. Grades 4 through 8 will take the iReady assessments in reading and math. I know that we had a workshop about data and we talked about assessment and how we looked at it school-wide. And what we've decided at this time, as we're working on developing our response to intervention model, where teachers are going to be collecting data less formally in their classrooms and being able to document that, we have decided that until that model is completely in place, and we're working on that this year, we do want to have our mid-year assessment at winter time, but it may be that next year, once we have other forms of data, we may not plan to go forward with all 3 diagnostic points, because we have talked about balancing the types of assessment and the times that kids are working on assessments. And as we work to make the best use of our new jump rope system, I'm going to be meeting with teachers to change some aspects of our assessment calendar that we currently have so that it can provide the most up-to-date information to parents about their children's progress. As you heard Mr. McCluskey talk about the comments that you'll see in jump rope and that kind of thing, a lot of them depend, for example, on the Fountas of Pinnell assessment. Right now, because of different ways we had assessed and reported in the past, those assessments are not right before our reporting period. And so we're going to shift those just prior to the reporting so that when parents receive those results, those are the most recent results and will really reflect students' progress up to that very point. So we'll be playing a little bit with the assessment calendar and making sure that it works best for teachers to be able to convey the best information to parents. One last note that's not in my report, but I just wanted to mention, I am on the advisory board for the biomedical program at HCTC, and this past month I met with that committee at Jackson Lab, and it was really, it was just a really neat experience to see scientists and parents and the students came, and being able to talk with Sarah, who's running the program, and getting on the ground in the community input into the program. It was really exciting to hear the scientists talking to the kids, asking them what they're getting out of it, having the parents be able to give input. It's a really nice model, and the program is really exciting. You can see the kids are lit up as she was talking about their new lab coming in and all the different pieces of it. So it's a really special thing to be a part of, and I think that it's just one piece of all the other programs at HCTC that I was able to see personally, but it was a really neat meeting to be a part of and to really see how the community comes together around these programs. Do you have any questions?
I have just a question about the formal coaching, and you said it starts January 15th. Is that something that's going to pull teachers out of the classroom during the day, or
No.
is this after school?
No, it would be during their planning times. And so, were Debbie to go into their classroom to model for them, it would be with the students. So she'd be working with them, you know, using teaching strategies with the actual students, and then would be working with them during their common planning time. So it will not take the teachers out at all. And that's the difference between having an instructional coach full-time as opposed to getting professional development in Augusta or at the, you know, curriculum leaders conference all the time, where teachers really are leaving classrooms for 2 full days, staying at a hotel. You know, we're paying for all these extra little pieces for them to get out of the classroom professional development, and that does have its place. But this way, she's working not only with the teachers on strategies, but she's working with them on strategies with the actual children they have.
Wonderful.
You know, so often teachers will say, that was a great conference, and they come back and, you know, there's no way it's going to work here. You know, they can't make the jump between what this wonderful thing they heard in, you know, a conference room in a hotel to being, you know, on the ground with students and the kinds of things that come up. And so with an instructional coach, she's able to go in and see the dynamics between the kids, think of classroom management strategies, talk about small groups based on the actual students that they have. It's been very effective, and I'm really pleased that we've been able to, you know, have that role added to what we're doing, and I think it's going to really show a large impact.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Higgins.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to start first this evening with an item that's not on my written report, just to let the members of our public know that for the first few home athletic events and other events at our schools, we found that we have many people parking in the fire lanes. So we've been working with our custodial staff and administrative staff to ensure that those are more clearly marked. And we're asking people to please cooperate with us and ensure that those lanes are not parked in during athletic events, concerts, performances, and so forth. It's a safety and security issue. But also take time on a related note to mention that tonight, as Mr. Clifford mentioned, our high school team, girls team is playing MDI, and tomorrow night the boys team is playing MDI. This is one of those games which we expect larger crowds. We're actually having an opportunity to try out the use of the lower parking lot and opening the gate by the old entrance to the high school to allow for pedestrian traffic to go through there. So just announcing that that's something we're trying with the permission of the railway group, and we hope that it's going to work and make sure that people know that that is accessible for parking, but also for pedestrian traffic to and from the school. We'd like to recognize new staff members that have joined us since the last meeting. And Mr. McCluskey and Mrs. Sargent have also mentioned 2 of them. Marilyn Plowman as our evening supervisor for adult education program. Katrina Westcott in Ed Tech 3 for special education at the elementary school. Also have Jeffrey Hupp, who's in Ed Tech 3 at the middle school. And Erica Joling has joined us as a clinical supervisor at Hancock County Technical Center. Believe it or not, at the beginning of the new year, we've already gotten a couple of calls wanting to know when the last day of school is. So this information I'm providing is pending the use of no more storm days, and hopefully Mother Nature will cooperate. But as you know, we have used 3 of the 4 days allocated in our calendar thus far this year. So right now, unless we use another storm day, the final day of the school year is June 19th, 2018. I'd like to close my report, and I'm very saddened to report on the unexpected passing of 2 individuals. One of them who was a current employee of the Ellsworth School Department, and the other one a former longtime employee. First, our current employee, Mr. Earl Gilly, who's been a longtime bus driver and mechanic, passed away on December 13th unexpectedly. And Gene Carter, who served for many years as Director of Facilities and Maintenance, passed away on January 1st, 2018. For those of you who knew both of these individuals, these words will ring true, and if you didn't know them, certainly ask you to listen. Both individuals were outstanding and dedicated employees to the system who contributed greatly to the mission and vision of the school department and benefited students, one in a very direct fashion and one in an indirect fashion. But probably more importantly, both of these individuals, Earl and Gene, were certainly gentlemen and outstanding human beings. And I would ask that you all please join me in a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Dan.
Now you're calling me. Oh, we need to speak with Mr. Clifford first.
Committee reports.
The policy committee has met. We met last night, actually, and we are continuing our review of policies that are already in place. We reviewed sections C, D, and E with the exception of the superintendent evaluation policy because the board already has plans to discuss this at our next workshop meeting. And we'll review the policies that we reviewed in a little bit.
Yep, okay, thank you. Any other committee reports? Old business, we have none. New business, number one, staff presentation. I believe we have Mr. McCluskey already queued up there.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce four terrific staff members of the elementary school. We have Judy Frazier, a grade 3 teacher. Deb Netto, grade 2, part of our learning community. First grade teacher Alexis Chapman, and kindergarten teacher Sue Frost. They are part of the Momentum leadership team. And as I mentioned, Momentum is a project through the Department of Education that they started piloting a year ago this month. We are one of about, 9 schools? About 9 schools in the state that are piloting this. We've all started about the same time. And at our school, it's a K through 3 pilot based to enhance our literacy instruction. You've heard me talk about the program involves some iPads, but by no means are iPads the main focus, of this piece. It comes with a lot of instructional support for the teachers as well, with a literacy coach that is in our building several days a month, as well as an Apple representative to help with some of the technology pieces that teachers are using to enhance the experience for children and to enhance their instructional practice. So they've put together a very nice presentation for you this evening, PowerPoint, along with they'll be ending it with some frequently asked questions, and then they'll open it up for questions that you may have. And wish to thank you for those of you that were able to come in to view some of the teachings in progress and see it live in the last few days. That was very much appreciated. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up this team of professionals.
Is it okay if I stand here?
Yep, if you, whoever's speaking, if you're within a few, 8 to 10 inches of the microphone, it's very helpful for our viewing audience.
All right. We are the Momentum Literacy and Leadership Team. We are missing one of our members, Kelly Rudolph, who's our literacy specialist, could not be with us this evening, but she's been an integral part of this leadership team as well. So we started working on this as a leadership team last year at about this time. And so we've put together this little PowerPoint. Hopefully it's going to work. First of all, what is Momentum? It is from the Maine Department of Education, and this is a pilot project on their part as well. So it's not just a pilot in our school, it is also a pilot project that is being developed from the Maine Department of Education, and we've been able to attend some leadership summits as this project has been going on. The element for the students, it's for kindergarten through 3rd grade, and the element for students is they will participate for 60 minutes per week in a program called eSpark. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about eSpark in a few minutes, and the iPad is the avenue for using this program. These are the schools that are participating in this pilot project. As you can see, they have, geographically from one end of the state to the other, and they vary greatly in size. And during our leadership summits that we've been able to attend about twice a year, isn't it? We are able to meet with people who teach at the same grade level as we do and are experiencing a lot of the same things and even some different issues. Then, we're able to converse and have some professional dialogue with people who are coming from different geographical and economical areas in our state, which has been very beneficial to us. Besides eSpark, the teachers have the benefit of some wonderful professional development with the state literacy coach Liz Wakeham. I believe she comes from the Belfast area, and with our Apple technology coach Maury Dufour. Along with this, we've also had access to some, I believe one of the biggest workshops that our teachers attended was the Leveraging Learning workshop, in which there was a great deal of technology education that was extremely beneficial, not just using eSpark, but with some other apps that are wonderful for kids to use, and we'll get into some more of those in a minute. But eSpark is a very key element of this for our students. And I believe a couple of you were able to see some of my students using eSpark in the past couple of days. It is a differentiated program based on their NWEA assessment. So we did switch to the NWEA last January for our literacy assessment because this is what drives eSpark. The student scores from NWEA are transmitted to eSpark, and then the eSpark computer program, differentiates their tasks that they do based on the gaps that they have demonstrated on NWEA. The NWEA information is used by teachers not just for eSpark, but also to drive some of their literacy instruction, and parents are informed of the students' progress on the NWEA through conferences. So what is eSpark? eSpark, again, is a differentiated program that is specifically tailored to students' needs. And it's done on the iPad. The students do, the first part of it is they do a pre-assessment, then they are assigned various apps or videos that they watch or participate in, and after they have done the assigned work, they are given a post-test. After demonstrating mastery on their post-test, they get to create a video that shows where they get to express what they've learned. So we have a little student in just a minute who will explain eSpark to you. And this was the tricky part of my presentation, so I can't find my picture.
What's your name? Hi, my name is Calvin. I'm in 2nd grade. I have been working on my class on eSpark, and I did my pre-test, and I've only got a 20% at the beginning try. And I've done five apps already, and I only have one to go, which is a book that I'm supposed to listen to. And I'm learning about books that can teach us lessons.
Thank you. So, Mrs. Netter, would you like to share how Kelvin did on his final post-test?
Once he finished his the last thing that he was supposed to do on his eSpark quest, he took his post-test and he scored 100%, and he really wanted to have an opportunity to tell you that, but I said that this was already made. So I'd like to tell you that he did 100%, and he's now working on his final video.
We also have some videos of, these are some completion videos from Mrs. Chapman's students. And this is an example of what they do after they have completed their quest. They're called quests, and they've completed their post-test. So here we have one of her students. Okay. Whoops, hold on. Sorry, I'm technologically challenged.
My name is Katie, and I am in 1st grade. For this quest, eSpark asked me to say 3 words that start with the letters WH. Use one of your words to ask a question. My answer is, what is this? When is it? Who am I? Thanks for watching.
Katie. And then we have.
Hi, my name is Emily, and I am in 1st grade. For this quest, Eastbrook asked me to say what sounds do the letters B, F, and Y make. My answer is B says B, F says, and Y says yeah. Thanks for watching.
So these are examples of their final videos that they create after they've finished their quest. On Wednesday mornings, we all get emails from the eSpark support team. Anthony Gallardi was here from eSpark earlier in the year, and he actually visited with my students, and they were able to ask him questions about how the videos were designed and how the apps were chosen and things like that. And I have to say that the response from eSpark, whenever we have a question or a concern about an app, we send an email to them, and they are very prompt and supportive in getting back to us. So there's some very nice communication. There have been some apps that sometimes they don't work properly or something, and all we have to do is send an email, and they'll get right back to us and get on top of it. So we get the emails, we get high fives for students who have finished videos, and they send us a link to their video. We also, they monitor if they have been on a quest for a little too long, or if they've been on one for quite a while. That'll be noted. We also, as teachers, monitor student progress using a dashboard, which shows where the students are and how they're doing on their pre-tests and post-tests, and what they're doing with their quests. This is not the only part. It's not like eSpark is replacing our literacy instruction. Another part of this project is we have received apps and training on apps on the iPads that also facilitate us. And one of these is Epic. And Epic is a virtual library. And I have little Miss Cameron here who will tell you what she likes about Epic.
I really like Epic because with a selection of books, you can find pretty much anything.
With Epic, we can select collections of books. We can assign them to the students, and we can use them for guided reading groups, or we can assign them for independent reading. We can also assign quizzes on Epic if we wish. Two more apps that were brought up in the Leveraging Learning Workshop are Kahoot and Book Creator. Kahoot is a game-based app where you have multiple choice questions, and the students, the question appears on the main screen, and the students have to select the answer on their iPad. And it's timed, and it's point-driven, and it is very exciting when students are using that for review. You can select a game that is already pre-made, or you can create your own games for review of specific skills. In Book Creator, students can use a variety of media. They can use photographs, they can use videos, they can use drawn pictures, and text to create their own books that can be maintained digitally. Two more. Explain Everything is an app that students can use to create multimedia presentations. And Seesaw allows teachers to create individually targeted lessons that students can respond to, and then their work can be maintained in a digital portfolio. So these go along with the eSpark pieces. I'm jumping.
You're doing great.
Along with that, and probably equally important, is we have received some tremendous professional development from the Momentum coaches. Liz Wakeham is our in-house coach. Well, she comes to us, but we've also had other coaches come and visit. Heidi Goodwin has come to us and done done presentations on tech sets. But we have monthly webinars that we watch. We have live presentations. We can co-plan with Mrs. Wakeham. She does demonstration lessons. In just a minute, I'm going to show you just a little piece of one that she did with my students. She gives our leadership team lots of support, and she is a wonderful consultant as well. So her input has been valuable to us. So here she is with one, just for a few seconds, with a small group of my students doing a lesson.
So one of the things that we're going to go ahead and do today is we're going to work with words. I think we're going to work with pictures. If you give enough time, of these pictures, you're going to have your E in the middle, or an E. Here's the difference in our time together. Here's one, two, so it's a big word, collaborate. Which means we are going to all work together.
Okay. So that's just one thing that she does. So she'll come in and she'll do a demonstration lesson. And then we'll have a conversation about it. Maury DeFore comes in, and if we have a new app that on the iPad that we want a little bit of help with, maybe instructing our students how to use Explain Everything or Book Reader, she'll come in and do a demonstration lesson. I believe she came in and did an iMovie lesson with Mrs. Anderson's class last week. So in summary, Momentum has brought us data-driven, technology-fueled, research-supported, improved literacy instruction. And we've been able to bring that to our students. We do have a few slides with some frequently asked questions. I don't know if you want to take a peek at those, or if you have questions of your own that you'd like to ask us.
I have questions, but they might be covered on the frequently asked.
So, let's go on. What PD have we received, and what are the benefits? Well, we've kind of covered that, but we do have we've had the professional learning, the monthly professional learning as a K-3 staff with our literacy coach, including phonemic awareness, phonics, text sets, fluency, vocabulary, comprehension, and NWEA data analysis, which for some of us, that was pretty deep. We've reviewed webinars prepared by the Department of Education, and to prepare for our professional learning times when we have the live presentations. The professional learning summer opportunities on technologies such as Book Reader, eSpark, Explain Everything, and Keynote, which I didn't use Keynote, I used and there are some other things that we've used, such as Seesaw, Camera, Epic, and those events. Do online book apps replace actual books? No. I think if two of you visited my classroom and you saw that my kids are still reading regular books.
I saw a lot of actual books in your class.
Yes. They still access and they still spend a great deal of time with actual books. Can they access the apps at home? Not the eSpark apps. They are tied to eSpark, and in fact, after they are finished with that app in their eSpark Quest, it will disappear from their iPad. It won't be available to them anymore. Some of the other apps, such as Epic, is available at home. I have not suggested it to my parents largely because at home it comes with a fee. And I don't require parents to submit to an app that has a fee based with it. They certainly can purchase it on their own if they choose to. And I have some who have, but it certainly is not required. How successful have we been at training and getting staff to integrate technology? We have some people who, years ago I was dragged kicking and screaming into the technology thing, but kind of got past that. So technology comfort level varies, but as a leadership team, we have been able to work with people at our grade level and to really kind of help their comfort level with the technology. So we're using these things on a daily basis, and they have become much more comfortable with the technology, I feel. How has the pilot impacted our literacy instruction? NWEA data helps to drive our instruction for individual students. eSpark is designed to work on individual skills, and the professional learning that we have received through the pilot has refocused us on phonemic awareness and phonics instruction, reminding that these skills are not necessarily solidified by the end of grade 1. And I know as a grade 3 teacher, I do a lot more work with phonemic analysis and phonics. How has the pilot impacted our students' literacy learning? We currently do not have a full years of data. We're about to because we're starting new EAs this week. And we will have more following this January's assessment and in May. I think we'll have some more data. Last year, we did not really get up and running with eSpark until later on in the year. So our data from May is probably not as accurate as it should be. But we will certainly be interested in taking a look at January's data. So, this presentation was brought to you by your Momentum Leadership Team. Kelly Rudolph, Susan Frost, Alexis Chapman, Deb Netto, and myself, Judy Fraser. Do you have any questions?
So this is a pilot through the state, the Department of Ed, right?
Correct.
Okay, so, and it ends this year,
It ends actually in, I believe, October 15th.
October 15th. And then what happens from that point on? Are they going, is the Maine Department of Ed going to choose new schools? Do you know, or how, can we opt to continue this program?
I don't really know. I don't think we can opt to continue. As far as I know, I think it ends. It will be really interesting to hear from the Department of Ed to see where that goes and what type of data they collect from this program.
To my understanding, we have not been made privy to, and Rachel, you can correct me if I'm not accurate, to what the department's next steps are. But for our purposes, I think from the presentation, the excellent presentation that you just saw, there's been a lot of benefit for our students. We presume in the day we'll support that, but also for our teachers. So as we move forward through the budget process and our discussions on assessment, we need to have some conversations and review how beneficial were the activities that teachers and students participated in, what can we sustain, what can we afford to sustain, and how does it fit into our overall system? Rachel?
As far as what they shared with us when we first signed on to the pilot, the lasting piece that they would leave with us, were we to meet the agreement of the memorandum of understanding, which involved having a leadership team, administrators attending the leadership summits, providing the time at the PLCs to have the training, the professional learning that Liz Wakeham provided, all those pieces. Were we to meet the agreement of the pilot, one of the pieces that would outlast them being here would be that we would be able to keep most of the iPads. Not all of them, but almost all of them. So.
You need to speak.
Oh, sorry.
Whenever you speak, you have to speak.
So one of the pieces that was part of the contract when we signed the memorandum of understanding is that the iPads, the amount that would be granted were 1-to-1 in kindergarten and first, and 2-to-1, 2 students to 1 iPad in second and third. The second year of the pilot, what they did is they found that the second and third grade kids really were having difficulty sharing them because they're at very different levels sometimes, and they had tailored programming in their iPads. And so the commissioner, when he came to visit, we discussed that a while back, had been hearing that from the other school sites and decided that they would be able to provide us with additional iPads, but those are loaners. So once the pilot's over, the piece they are committing to, given that we meet all the agreements in the memorandum of understanding, would be the initial iPads that were brought to us. It does not include any of the programming, it would just be the iPads itself.
So how many are we going to be looking to replace when they take them back?
I believe was it 100? It would be an additional 100 if that's what we decided to do.
There's additional pieces that, in addition, the state did a network and wireless upgrade to our school. We'd be able to keep all those network upgrades as well as part of the memorandum of understanding. In addition, as well as the carts and charging stations, as well as the covers and cases for the iPads. It's a significant investment that they made in the program.
And what we're looking to do through the budget process is find out how we can sustain the full one-to-one capacity, if that works for us. But I think in general terms, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, what we want to do is evaluate the benefits of participation in the pilot and sustain the pieces that work the best for our teachers and for our students. And again, that's going to require a lot of conversation. There's still a period of time to go with the pilot, but this is a time to have that conversation right now.
What are we looking at as far as software investment? I mean, we must have to purchase the software.
So eSpark comes as a cost. You can subscribe to that software. It's a per user fee. In addition, we've discovered many more learning apps and apps that I shared with you today, such as Epic, which we already have on the iPad devices, Seesaw, Book Creator we've purchased. That purchase is not going to go away. So a lot of the tools are there. Just the subscription to eSpark is the piece that we would have to, it's in the budget process and talks for that.
Not as bad as it
Excuse me, I wanted to add too that we use this is our technology for K through 3. And we use these iPads not just for literacy instruction. Our new math program has an extensive online piece to it, and our students which has the one-to-one iPads has helped us tremendously with that, because we have grouped our math kids differently than our literacy kids, and the iPads are dedicated to each student. So the students, because of the way the eSpark program works, they have their assigned iPad. So they see their label on their iPad, and that's the one that they use. It's also the one that they use for math. So.
You have another question?
I do. So after this program is over, we will no longer have access to Liz Wakeham and Maury DeFore. Is that correct? That support would go away.
Do the iPads go home at all?
No.
Is there a plan to allow them to at any point?
We haven't broached into that conversation at this point in time.
No, it's not. We haven't. There's still. Yeah.
The other piece to think about, and I brought it up earlier, is that as you saw, the eSpark program is fed directly from the NWEA. And so the Momentum Pilot drove our assessment choices because we were doing iReady in K-8 in math and reading. And so we switched over to the NWEA in K-3 in reading, and everyone else continued to do iReady. So one of the discussions as we talk about how this gets sustained is also looking at our assessment pieces. And that's part of the reason that we really need to look at, while this is a really good time for us to do this ELA review, because as we think about what we want to sustain, we need to think about what other resources we need to fill into the other grades, and which pieces we want to continue throughout, and how those pieces are a part of a continuous English language arts program. But also it comes at a connection to NWEA, which is not what we had been using as a K-8 diagnostic. So those are other pieces of the discussion that not only are we talking about ELA, but we do need to look at overall what our assessment program looks like in the school district, given what we decide about sustaining these pieces.
Rachel, is the eSpark program available for other grade levels above grade 3?
Yes.
It's a different program.
I think it morphs into something.
Frontier.
Frontier. So we didn't want to just look at it exclusively for K3. We want to look at what does that mean for the whole district, which is why part of the reason we decided that ELA was a good focus for this year as we think about next year and how those pieces continue. Happy. Someone has a question.
Oh, I'm just thinking here. So, April, maybe this is a question that's more for you. Had we not had access to this pilot program, K through 3 would not have had access to the technology to tie into the math program?
They would have a cart per grade level. So, not really.
Yeah, okay.
Not the same
It
kind
would
of
be,
level that
it would
they
be a
have.
limited access, it would not be one-to-one access, it would be a limited
Yeah. Right.
access.
Okay, and just to clarify in my mind, did you say we need 100 more to replace the ones we'll go back?
We have the opportunity possibly to purchase the iPads from the pilot in there. We would purchase the 100 that they gave us. So it would be at a discounted cost.
In all these types of questions that you're asking, they're all good questions, but those are all part of the conversation that's gonna move forward with the budget process, as well as the ELA review and the overall discussion of assessment. There are a lot of complex pieces that have to come together here. We're gonna come back to the general comment. Through our participation in the pilot, we can see that there's a great deal of benefit that we've experienced with our teachers and our students. Those are the pieces that we're going to look to sustain, and we need to figure out what the best combination of directions is to go to make that happen. Some of the questions that you asked tonight, we can't answer tonight. We just don't know the answers.
Thank you very much, all of you.
I'd like to thank Mr. Markosian and Ms. McKinney for coming to my classroom and seeing how this works. It was
Thank
great
you
to
for
see
letting us
you.
come.
Yes,
It was
and
great.
Brenda Thomas visited
And
mine,
Brenda,
so
Yes.
she was very enthused about what she saw. She seemed to really enjoy coming in.
Well, I really enjoyed visiting you, so thank you for allowing me to come.
It was very impressive.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Can you
Thank you
disconnect,
very
please?
much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So while they're picking up, the board,
Okay.
motion to amend the agenda.
I'm going to ask for a motion to amend the agenda at this point to move item J, number 4, executive session. Move that up to now so that we can, people who are waiting for that part of the meeting can join us, and then we'll resume, we'll go back to the rest of the agenda, which includes second read of policies and
I would recommend if you had a motion to amend the agenda by moving item J4 to proceed J2.
okay. We have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?